6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Sports Wrap. I am Frank Walsh along with my co-host and friend Michael Wigdor. Now, we haven't been on in a little bit, so there is a lot to catch up on. The Red Sox are playing really well. They're still sitting on top of the American League East. The Bruins clinched a playoff spot. The Patriots have a new quarterback and picked up some other players in the draft. And the Celtics are fledgling a little bit. And Julian Edelman, since the last time we talked, has bid us all adieu. So, Mikey, we have a lot to talk about today. Where do you want to kick it off, kid?
Well, it's a very exciting thing that the Patriots have a new quarterback of the future, supposedly, in Mac Jones. It's very exciting. But, if you've been watching the Patriots for the last, 20 years, you've been watching Julian Edelman for at least the last 12, you got to say, hats off to Julian Edelman for retiring.
Hats off to Julian A., I tell you.
Besides Brady and Gronk, probably, I think he was my favorite player. He was just, the guy was like the essence of toughness, He was like he was a great slot receiver, and he always seemed to be like on the same wavelength with Brady. Brady would throw the ball. It looked like he barely turned his head and the ball was in his arms. And he's always making, clutch plays, not just in the playoffs, but in, regular games to help the team win the East every year, which, they don't. It's amazing that he never won a Pro Bowl, never made it to a Pro Bowl, because he was so good, especially his last, 3 or 4 years. He was getting over 1,000 yards. He was making like 80 catches a year. But in the playoffs, he really shined. And I don't think anyone is ever going to forget when he made the catch, when they were down 28, starting to come back from 28 to 3. And I think he made a key one that helped them in the fourth quarter. He doesn't make that catch, who knows if they ever go on to win that game, The man is clutch. And then he won the MVP for the last Super Bowl that they won against the Rams, when he had 10 catches, I think 140 yards, 150 yards. So, I think Julian Edelman, it's a shame he has to leave, but I hope when he said Foxborough forever, he means it, because I don't think he can play anymore, on that knee. And I'd hate to see him go to the Bucks. So, sayonara, Julian Edelman, man. You were just a great Patriot. And I think he should be a Hall of Famer.
That was a mouthful there, Mikey. And,
it is. I've been thinking a lot about it.
I think he actually kind of revolutionized the game a little bit, because before Edelman, where was there really a great slot receiver?
Good point.
And I think since then, I think that other teams have tried to emulate the Patriots' game plan, bring in slot receivers, and I don't think that anybody has done it as well as Edelman.
No.
And I think that going forward, without him, I think that's going to mean a major game planning shift for them, because, he's like a Brady in some respects. He's the greatest of all time, but, you could probably consider Edelman probably the greatest slot receiver of all time.
I think so too, yeah.
And I can't think of anybody else, can you, that, done that? Amendola, when Amendola was here, they were a great combination, but I think that without Edelman, as you had mentioned, his grit, his toughness, his leadership, and I think that, the games that he didn't play, you could almost feel some of the air coming out of the balloon, because it changed their whole game plan completely.
True, that's right.
Especially over the last year without Brady, because without him, they really didn't have anybody else to throw to.
No, that's true. And I think Welker was a great slot receiver.
Welker as well. Wes Welker, of course.
Yeah, but I think
downfield, though. Welker could also go downfield.
Yeah, he could, but I think people are going to remember him for the pass that he didn't catch in the Super Bowl. That might
exactly right.
So Edelman.
What do you think, though? There's been a lot of controversy about Edelman being into the Hall of Fame. I think he's a no-brainer for the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not sure how they look at football, in a way that we look at baseball, because there are certain baseball players who were more niche players, like you get not pinch hitters, but you get designated hitters, you get relievers. You know,
Yeah,
they are spot players, and in
true.
some regards, you could consider Edelman a spot player. I mean, he played that slot, and if you look at it in terms of that, and then you throw on his value to the team, and how without him, it was like a car without an engine. So I would say that, there should be a really strong consideration for him into the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Because if you look it up and read about his playoff statistics, it's second most catches in playoffs besides Jerry Rice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Three Super Bowls. There's some Hall of Famers that played around the same many years as him. Maybe they never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, championships are that important, and he should be in there, I think.
Exactly. And you have to look at it in terms of impact, you know, and, he made impact catches that saved the games.
Right.
Without him, there was a good chance that they wouldn't have won a couple of those Super Bowls.
Yep, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know?
He
So if you
was,
look at him as an impact player and the effect that he had on the game,
yeah,
in some ways that, weighs heavy. If you were to look at it on a weighted scale, yes, he has, great catches and he's probably the best at his position. But if you start weighing some of those catches, that tips the pendulum in his favor.
yeah, I think so. I think he should be a Hall of Fame. But if we just look at what's going to happen now in the future, I personally love the pick that they got with Mac Jones. The guy, first of all, he's a bright guy, and they love guys that are smart. And they say that he played in the system they had like six All-Americans on that team. I
Yep.
mean, throwing to Alabama was like almost like could have been like a pre-NFL team. It was that good. Nobody could beat them. They were undefeated last year. But he was amazing. I mean, he threw for over 4,000 yards. I don't know how many touchdown passes, but he was also extremely accurate. Only threw like four interceptions, I think, all year. I
Right.
just think he's great as a potential, future pick. I mean, future quarterback for them because you obviously don't see Cam Newton that way. I mean, people
Right.
are somewhat optimistic about Newton this year, but now at least if Newton starts to fail, they got Plan B. I don't know how fast it's going to happen, but it no doubt will happen.
Well, it depends who you listen to. I don't listen to a ton of talk radio, but I flip it on every once in a while, especially after the draft. And there are some people out there who are basically writing off Cam Newton and, stake their reputation and put money on the table that Mac is going to start the season.
Oh, I don't think he's going to start the season. I doubt if he could beat out Cam Newton, but I think that he'll be playing before the year is out.
No doubt about that.
I don't think they're going to give Newton a chance to get them into a losing record situation before they
Right.
get in. But he has
Well,
to come out.
it's going to come down to the training camps too, and the OTAs,
Right.
and it's going to come down to his performance on the field. But
Right.
there are a lot of draft reports out there that I read that they said that this guy is very Brady-like. Even down to the point where he's smart, he can read the defenses,
Right.
and he's very astute and able to pick up what's coming to him, what's coming his way. And on the negative side, just like Brady, he's not an nimble quarterback. So he has to make up with that with a quick release and be able to see what's coming. And I think if you combine that with the game plans that I'm sure the Patriots will wrap around him,
Yeah.
this kid could be a real stud.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially since they picked up some really, like they gave him good weapons. This might have been something in the planning. I mean, they got two great tight ends that they just got.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think that, one of the disadvantage with Cam Newton is he can't throw the ball downfield.
That's what he has to prove this year because he couldn't do it last year.
Right, and I think that's where this kid, Mac can come
Right.
in, and with the weapons that he has, I'm sure they'll work on his footwork, just like they did with Brady. He doesn't have to be quick, he doesn't have to be fast, but he has to be quick and he has to be smart. And I think he has both of those attributes. So, it's going to be interesting to see. It's really going to be interesting to see.
It will be.
They've got some really good weapons, and
Yeah.
when we chatted yesterday, we were both disappointed that they didn't pick up a tight end.
No wide receiver.
I'm sorry, a wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they have some wide receivers that they picked up. I'm not that convinced that they're going to be good. I mean, the problem they don't have a guy that could stretch the field.
Right.
They may decide they want to go the short game. They want to do the running game. They drafted another running back that's like they said he's like a young LeGarrette Blount.
And they released who's the other running back? I just had the name in my head. Sony Michel.
They released him?
They released Sony Michel today, yeah.
Oh, I haven't even looked at that today. Wow.
Yeah, they released him. That was somewhat of a surprise.
Wow, that is a surprise.
Yeah, they put him out there. He's a free agent now. I don't know if anybody picked him up, but I heard that this morning.
Wow. Well, I guess they figure they have this young kid that they just drafted. They have Damian Harris. They have a few other strong running backs there.
How's Bolden? They still have Bolden. Is Bolden still there with them?
Bolden's there, but yeah, he may have a bigger role now because he was a special teams guy too. But I don't know. I'm very hopeful this year. Like you said, people were saying, "Oh, they shouldn't have picked him. They should have gone down and picked up this kid Justin Fields, who was a real mobile quarterback." But just because the thing with this kid, this Justin Fields, I mean, he may be put in a pressure situation to start right away. I don't know if these guys can come out of college. Even these first two draft picks can come right out of college, go into a pro game, and be successful. There's very few that can do that. Maybe the first round, maybe this kid Trevor Lawrence will be that good, but I doubt. It's like even Mahomes sat for a while before he came in. So I would rather see this kid learn and progress and then come in.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see if Cam Newton takes him under his wing, because Cam Newton's the team guy.
That's right.
He's supposed to be great in the locker room. He's supposed to be a great mentor. It'll be interesting to see if Cam takes him under his wing because, in a sense, they're both fighting for a job. And, I would say that, rather than 50-50, you might be looking at, 60-40 or 65-35 as far as Cam's favor. I don't think that he is a shoo-in to start the season, No, he's going to have to earn it.
Yeah, Belichick did come out and say that Cam Newton is our guy right now. He's our
he's our guy right now.
Right now.
5 minutes from now, it may not be.
It'd be very interesting to see if Cam Newton doesn't come out as being the quarterback. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. This kid would be astounding, I think, to come out and start. But
I agree. Maybe. But I can't believe how quickly the time is moving. I don't think we planned on talking about that. Where do you want to pick it up next? The Bruins clinched their division, and they seem to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, they're doing great. I mean, Tuukka Rask has come back, and he's playing really well.
Pitched a shutout last night.
Yeah, they got this rookie, Swayman, who came out of nowhere. He's playing well, and I guess they're giving this Halak's playing tonight.
Yep.
Trying to get him ready for the playoffs. But, yeah, they're clicking on pretty much all cylinders.
I hope they're not peaking too soon.
Well, that's one thing. But the other thing that I heard today is that very interesting is that because these teams are almost like playing like in a bubble, like the AFC East only plays the AFC East.
That's a valid point, right?
And like they're not even AFC, whatever they call it. The Eastern Division, the Central only plays Central, the West plays the West. So they're saying, how is the Bruins going to be competing against these teams? Are these teams better than the competition that the Bruins have had? And nobody really knows. Even the analysts, I was listening today on the way over here, and they don't even know. So that's going to be really
especially the West Coast. They're a faster. They play a much faster game out in the West. But we haven't heard anything about it. Now, you took the words out of my mouth as far as playing in the same division. It's almost weird. It seems like they're playing back-to-back games, a home and away, home and away, home and away.
I know, they're the same team.
Buffalo, New Jersey.
I know. And it pads them because Buffalo was an awful team, and I think they took 5 out of whatever, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6. I mean, some of these teams that are bottom feeders make them look better than they could be, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
be interesting to see. We have to talk about the Red Sox though too,
Yeah,
because
we do. We got to do that.
it's, Frank, let's be honest. Are you surprised that they're leading the league division at 17-12 right now?
Um,
You were almost a seer about it because you predicted they would score 4 or 5 runs a game, and if the pitching holds up, that would help win games. And it almost seems to happen that way in a lot of them.
yeah, I'm somewhat surprised, and I think obviously getting off to that bad start, the 0-3, excuse me, they've certainly bounced back. And I think that, what's been really impressing me is you know, the offensive team that they have. I mean, they have a certain look about them
They
that
do.
they look very confident. Now, it's been interesting that they've run up against some really tough pitchers. And, they were lucky that they won that 1-0 game against, one of the best pitchers in the game, the Cy Young winner. He was throwing 102 up there, and they won that 1-0 game. And I think that, their pitching has held out pretty well. They've come back a little bit. Some of them have gotten off to a rocky start. But I think that overall, I think that they're going to be a tough team to beat. I really do. I think that they could have won a couple of more games. They could be 14-5. They lost a couple of games that the bullpen coughed up, but that's to be expected. Matt Barnes has been pitching like a beast. He had a bad night the other night. They hit him a little bit, but I think all in all, I think they're going to be a really solid team. And Texas gave them a good match. I mean, they're going to be playing Detroit now. And this is where they can make more headway because they're going to be playing some not great teams for the next week or so.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And one other thing too is that I can't understand over the last 2 seasons how they have such a poor record at home. They're winning on the road and they're not winning at home.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? I looked at that too. They're like almost like 500 at home, and they're like I think they've lost 2 road games and 3 road. Well, actually,
like 700 ball on the road.
Yeah, not now after losing to Texas, but the thing that surprises me about them too is the pitching because like they had this kid Pavetta pitching tonight.
Yeah.
3-0.
Evaldi,
Richards
Rodriguez,
huh?
Evaldi and Rodriguez, they're pitching
Yeah.
well.
And Garrett Richards actually has turned it around, it seems. He started out terrible, but he's pitching okay. They don't have name pitchers, but there aren't that many teams that really do have like maybe a top of the tier, which it could be Evaldi so far who's doing it, which I didn't necessarily expect, but that's great that he is, right?
Yep.
After his problems. And JD Martinez is going crazy for that team.
He really is. I mean, it seems like every time I look, he's getting doubles. He's getting, he's getting doubles. I think he's leading the league in doubles. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't he get Player of the Month last month in April?
He might have. I didn't know if they gave it out, but yeah, he got like 9 home runs or something.
I think he might have gotten it. I know that Matt Barnes was selected as reliever of the month.
Oh, he was, okay.
Yeah, he was selected as a reliever of the month. So I think it was Martinez, was Player of the Month, because I haven't heard too much of anybody doing better than he is. I mean, he's hitting the ball well.
Yeah, and so is Bogarts. Bogarts is having off to a good start, and Devers is coming around.
Devers is hitting a home run, man. He's got, 7, 8 home runs?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Bogarts is even hitting home runs now.
Yeah. And, Devers, I mean, Devers just crushing the ball. His home runs are not cheapies. He hit one of them, I think, he hit one, I think 458 feet, I think he hit one. He's hitting bombs.
Yeah, he swings, boy, I'll tell you, the way he swings. It's frightening to see him up there when he's up. He hit a line drive. I saw him hit a line drive home run. And it was opposite field, and it just took off like a shot.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw him when we were down at Pawtucket, up close and personal. And, he's a big kid. I mean, I looked up. I'm surprised at some of the big Barnes. I didn't realize that Matt Barnes is 6'4". Devers is 6'3". J.D. Martinez is 6'3". These guys got some beef on them. So, Devers has such a big swing. And
Yes.
and he's only what? He's 24 soon to actually his birthday is the same day as mine, October 24th. He's going to be 25. So for a young kid that I think that
Oh,
in the
yeah.
next year, if they work with him and maybe shorten up his swing a little bit instead of, going for the strikeout or the home run.
Yeah.
I think that he's got a tremendous amount of talent and his defense seems to be improving a little bit. He hasn't hurt them lately that I'm aware of.
No. No, the thing that's hurting them, and I've heard this from the announcers, the bottom of the order is just not hitting very well.
No, Vasquez, he had a couple clutch,
Renfro,
got a couple clutch hits, and yeah, they're not doing much.
Renfro, Gonzalez,
Yeah,
those guys, Frenchie Cordero, they're not really some.
Frenchie's not doing much.
But the top of the order, Verdugo's doing good. This kid, where'd they get this kid Arroyo from? Do you know?
I
Anyway?
don't. I don't. He was a pickup. For some reason, I don't know if he came from Cleveland or what. For some reason, I want to say Cleveland, but maybe I know there was an Arroyo, his father, maybe who played for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I don't know. But believe it or not, Mikey, we're running out of time. Why don't you talk a little bit about your beloved Celtics?
I would talk about my beloved Celtics, but I'm very disappointed in them. Hopefully, Kemba Walker will come back and be able to play a string of games because he's injured. Another guy they got in a trade that's just hasn't been able to produce. But the thing is with that team, it doesn't seem to be like, and I heard Mike Gorman say this, there doesn't seem to be leadership on that team.
I agree.
And
I
they
agree.
said Jalen Brown, who's only 23, was giving it to them. But Mike Gorman said they needed somebody who's like a veteran experienced guy. They don't have it. And I just I don't see them going very far. Even if, unless possibly they get all their team healthy again and they don't have to constantly just rely on Tatum and Brown, because I don't
Right.
think they're going to burn out. I mean,
Yeah.
they burn out.
Yeah. I see them as a team that, you know, like basketball game out of all the sports, you can lay down a little bit. And I see the Celtics as a team that the only way that they win is when they play their best basketball.
Right.
Now, you look at some teams, they can have an off night, they can have an off night, but they're still good enough to win. They'll sneak by some wins. The Celtics, if they don't play their best, they're going to lose. And I think that, that's going to be very difficult for them to maintain if they get into the playoffs to play their best basketball every game. I don't think that they can do it. So I don't think that they're going to go far.
No, I don't think if they're not on a roll going into the playoffs, I'd say bye-bye.
I agree. I agree. But Mike, it's that time, believe it or not, to wrap it up. We gotta thank a couple of people. Who are we going to
I
thank?
do. We have to thank the wonderful people at SMAC that produce the show. I mean, that direct the show for us. Dave Young, Robert Tella,
Yep.
Mike Hammond, all those people that do a great job for us.
I tell you, we miss them all, seeing them in person. But if we can't do that, this is the next best thing.
True. So until next time, I'm Mike Widor.
And I am Frank Walsh. We
And we
will
will
see you
down
the
the
road.
road.